Hey guys, how are you doing? Welcome back, of course, to Rule of Two Review, and I hope you're ready, because today we're going to be talking some serious Nintendo Switch. So my main purpose of this video was really just to discuss the fact that we are within one full week of the release of a brand new Nintendo generation that also happens to come with a brand new Zelda game, one of the few times in history we've ever had such an amazing, awesome combo unleashed upon us at the same time. It's so beyond exciting. We all know it. You know it. I know it. I've talked about it a million times. It's half of the reason you even tune into my channel and a lot of other awesome YouTubers' channels is to hear us all talk about and get excited about the Switch and, of course, that game called Breath of the Wild. So I have a confession to make when it comes to this video, which is I really don't have much of a plan. I just was so excited, and I knew that I needed to just get out to you guys and just get out of my brain the simple fact that the Switch is this close to us. We're within 1 week. I'm not making this on the 1 week marker, unfortunately. It's Sunday, the Sunday before the Nintendo Switch releases on Friday, March 3rd, so we have like less than a week. We have 5 freaking days until the Switch comes out. I mean, 4 technically if you count the fact that myself and a lot of people are going to be going to pick up their Switches at midnight. We do have confirmation that the Nintendo Switches that me and that myself and my friend have reserved at our GameStop is doing a midnight, which I'm so thankful for. I've been starting to see a couple of people in a couple of stores starting to post about the fact that, hey, they're not doing a midnight where I'm reserving my Switch, and so now I won't be able to get it until the following day, which super sucks. I totally feel your guys' pain. It kind of blows my mind why any store wouldn't be doing a midnight launch. I mean, if the Switch wasn't set up and primed to be really successful and sell out like crazy, I guess I could understand it. For example, when I picked up my Wii U, and I even told this my horrible Wii U launch story a couple months ago, but when I went to pick up my Wii U, it was reserved at a GameStop in my local mall at the time when I was living in Denver, and they didn't do it midnight because I think they only had like 12 Wii U's reserved. I think it actually was all of their stock, but it wasn't a huge amount, and there just wasn't this huge, massive rush and this crazy hype for the Wii U when it launched, which is very sad, but it all kind of sums up the unfortunate, weird story in life that the Wii U's was, which I've talked about a few times recently. And, you know, that was an instance where it's like, okay, there wasn't such a crazy hype for that console that people weren't running out like, you know, all over the place to pick up their Wii U's and waiting in lines overnight, you know, for 3 days in a row, and so they didn't do a midnight. The Switch, we know is going to be a big deal. These things, there's such a buzz for the Switch, and they're like reserved out everywhere you go, so why wouldn't every single store selling them that can do this, like a GameStop or a Target or a Walmart, do a midnight? Best Buy obviously is a different story because I think the only time they do anything like that is like for Black Friday. But other than that, they're a normal store with normal hours. They don't give a shit when your game or your console or your movie comes out. They are going to open at 10 and they're going to close at 9 every day. So the Best Buy thing I get. I just think it's quite unfortunate. But I myself am lucky, and my awesome work buddy, Jake, who reserved mine, him and his wife made sure, I told you guys this before, when I was flying to New York to the event in January to play the Switch, they were awesome enough to go and wait in line and early in the morning that day and actually reserve a Switch for Jake and also for myself. So, gosh, I owe them the biggest thank you. And I tell them that every time I see. I work with Jake, so you know, so we're lucky. Our Nintendo Switch is going to be available for us at midnight. But what I keep thinking about is the fact that in mere days, all of us who have them reserved, which does include myself, will be having a brand new Nintendo console in our hands, in our living rooms, hooked up to our TVs. With the Switch, we'll be running around the freaking world. People are going to be walking around outside playing their new Nintendo consoles. It's mind-blowing. It's such a crazy thing. And I always love to bring up this idea every time I talk about this, is we have to remind ourselves how cool of a time we're living in right here and right now. We only get a new Nintendo generation every couple of years, every 5 or 6 years. And so I think that we need to bask in this, and we have to appreciate that we're in a brand new Nintendo generation. It's just so cool to know that we're actually living this right here and right now. And it's really mind-blowing when you go back and remember the NX days, man. That was such a weird time. You guys remember that? That already almost seems like ancient history, but that was mere months ago that we were still all talking about the NX and wondering what that was going to be and following these rumors, and Eurogamer was saying this, and your mom's face was saying that, and Boopy Schmoopy was saying something else. And it was just like, what the hell is the NX? What's Nintendo doing? It's digital only. Do you remember that? When there were cartridge rumors like over a year ago, but then there was a period where the NX was going to be digital only. If you guys remember that, and it's like, oh, maybe they're going to have one that's disc-based and one that's only for digital downloads. Like, they'd have 2 different consoles. I mean, obviously that rumor came from some sort of truth, I think, because somebody knew that there was no internal disc system in the thing that would become the Switch, and so they were like, well, that must mean they don't play physical games. And it turns out that that's just because it was cartridges, and cartridges don't need a disc playing system. They don't need any of those components inside. They just need a little slot to slide the card in. And it's just so interesting. It's almost like this weird, nerdy video game version of telephone, where something that was fact got turned and twisted into something else completely by the time the rumor hit the internet. And then we were all over the place about the whole whatever the hell the NX is. And it's just such a weird and interesting thing. And I said this before, months and months and months ago too. I feel like in the next few years, I think we will look back on those crazy NX times kind of fondly. At least I will. Not because it wasn't frustrating that so many rumors were coming out that weren't substantiated, even though some of them turned out to be true, but there were so many rumors and it was frustrating in the moment. But in hindsight, it's like, God, it was fun too, though. Like, I loved just the mystery and the wondering and the guessing, and a rumor would be frustrating, but it would also be like, huh, but what if that's true? What does that really mean? What is the NX? And it was just a really cool time. So, yeah, it's just a new Nintendo generation, man. Any new generation is exciting. You know, as someone who's lived through every relevant generation, starting from the 8-bit NES and Sega Master System era all the way up until today, it's just my favorite time when new consoles are coming out, you know. And I've seen all the best and worst come and go: the Sega Saturn, the 32X, the 3DO, the PlayStation 1, the Atari Jaguar, the Virtual Boy. I own a Virtual Boy. I mean, I own a Jaguar too, by the way, and a Saturn. Some rare things that I have, actually. And, like, you know, when I think for someone as old as myself, we have a really interesting and fun perspective, and I feel like it's very valuable memories I have of all these different generations going from one to another, and technology gets better, and graphics change, and controllers change, and a whole new library of games starts to become available. And what are the first games we're playing on new generation hardware? And that stuff, I can't tell you guys how wonderful my memories are every time that happened, going back to my childhood, specifically with the 16-bit era, because that was the first time we saw that happen, and it just made me so excited. And when I apply that to today, changing generations doesn't have quite the same effect, because there's less and less new we can see and play as the gaming industry has gotten bigger and been going for longer and longer. So it's nice when a company like Nintendo is one of the few companies that can still find ways to try and give us new. Even when they don't fully succeed, like with the Wii U, the simple fact that they're trying is so healthy for the pulse of the video game industry, and it's what makes Nintendo great, man, because back in the day, every time a new generation came out, something as simple as better graphics and a couple more buttons on a controller was so new, it literally changed the entire face of video gaming until the next thing happened. And nowadays, you can't just do that. I mean, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, great as they are perfect examples of nothing new. Barely better graphics, same freaking controllers, same layout, nothing else is different. The UI is more of a pain in the ass on the Xbox One, slightly different and better on the PS4, but they didn't really do anything else to change gaming. But Nintendo does change gaming, or at least try, like I said. And it does seem like that's what they're doing with the Switch. So while it might not be giving us the most revolutionary, mind-blowing graphics we've ever seen, does that even matter anymore in 2017? Are graphics not good enough as they are? The fact that they're giving us the ability to play at home or on the go, and they're giving us what I can tell you from first-hand experience are the most incredible, weird-ass, kooky little controllers. The freaking Joy-Cons, and that HD Rumble, which I just... Hallelujah, praise the HD Rumble. It's so freaking interesting. I really hope developers take advantage of it. Those things are what's changing the game, and that's just what Nintendo does. And that's why the Switch is so exciting to me, you guys. I mean, I've talked about it so many times, and you've seen all the footage of Robert and myself playing the thing. Like the games are the most important thing, and Zelda's like the most important thing right now, but to me, the console, the new technology, how we play on a new console, and those freaking awesome controllers, that stuff has got me so pumped for the Switch. I can't wait to own my own controllers and own Switch in my house that I can use how I want, and for you guys to have the same thing. I'm so excited for everyone who hasn't had a chance to try them to really see what those Joy-Cons are like and what it plays like. Let alone the fact that we have the one and only Legend of Zelda, brand new Zelda, Breath of the Wild, getting ready to be unleashed upon us the same time that the Switch comes out in just a couple of days. I even asked on a poll on Twitter, and I'm not going to show it here, but I asked on a poll, what are you guys more excited for, a new Zelda or a new Nintendo console? And it was a pretty close race, but the answer that I agreed with won, which was a new Nintendo console. I think that's the bigger deal here. But it's still interesting to see how many people, like, you know, almost 50 people, voted for Zelda. And people really are excited for this new Zelda game, and I am too, because Zelda's my second favorite franchise of all time. Of course, behind Metroid. So, Breath of the Wild is getting so much news and attention right now, and it's obviously so good. It's insane because, like, nothing can stop the rampage of success and positivity coming from Breath of the Wild. It's insane, and it's the perfect example of Nintendo kind of was like, we're done fucking around. We fucked around for a couple of years on the Wii U. They did make some great games, man, like I said in my last video, my top 10 Wii U games, some of my favorite games of all time, but they weren't doing what they're doing with Breath of the Wild. This is the Nintendo that put them on the map. The Nintendo that makes Breath of the Wild, the Nintendo that makes Metroid Prime, the Nintendo that makes Super Mario Galaxy. That is Nintendo basically throwing its gloves in the dirt, kicking off its Piccolo frickin' weighted training gear, and saying, bitches, we're coming for you, video game industry, we're coming for you, gamers, and we're gonna destroy all of you with awesomeness. And that is what Zelda's going to do. I hope it's what the Switch turns out to be, too, as a piece of hardware. But if we're talking about just games and gameplay and software, Breath of the Wild is exactly that. And to start your new generation with that mentality and that game is so impressive. And then within the first year, we're going to get the same thing in the Mario space. Wow. I mean, if Nintendo nails E3 this year, I think the Switch is a guaranteed bona fide smash runaway success. I feel like if E3 falls a little bit flat, the Switch will still be set up nicely to be successful, but I think that E3 can put the nail in the coffin to all competition to the Switch, because you've got the Switch being great and launching successfully, everyone talking positively about it. Zelda comes out, 10s out of 10s, everyone loves it, best game ever, oh my freaking god. E3 is spectacular, they show us new Nintendo games coming for next year, they show us a couple great, hopefully strong third-party support games, and then they finish up with Mario by the end of the year, plus a new IP in ARMS. It'll be unbelievable what's possible. Like I said, if E3 falls flat, it'll just be a slight dent in that, and it'll be a hurdle they'll have to get over if E3 doesn't really excite people. And I know you can have conversations about the importance of E3 anymore, and it's a good conversation because I do think the relevance is slipping, but I think that right now, the space Nintendo's in and the space the gaming industry is in, this E3 does feel important to me. So I hope that Nintendo treats it as such. They might not. That's certainly the Nintendo that we know, would be to not treat E3 this year like it's that important. And if so, it is what it is, and I'm sure they're still going to have a great year of games, so I still believe in the Switch. They might just pepper a bunch of kick-ass Nintendo Directs throughout the year instead, which would help and do a huge sort of counterbalance to maybe a lackluster E3. So we'll see, man. But Zelda... it's going to be so good. It's going to be so good, you guys. I get giddy like a schoolboy. I feel like I'm like 14 years old again, and I'm just like, new Zelda game, oh my god, I'm Link and Zelda, oh my god, and Calamity Ganon. What is Calamity Ganon? Oh my god, I can't even wait to see what that whole freaking thing is going to be about. So, you know, I mean, this was just a rambling video, as if I don't ramble enough in my videos anyway. This one was specifically and purposefully created for me to ramble to you guys about the Nintendo Switch and Breath of the Wild, a brand new Nintendo game and a brand new Zelda game, a brand new Nintendo game, a brand new Nintendo console, and a new Nintendo generation, the important idea there, and a new Zelda. It's crazy, you guys. We're all going to have the most amazing time. I've got, thank goodness for my awesome job and all the PTO I have. I have like 6 days set aside starting on Friday, March 3rd to just have all that time off of work and sit on my ass like a vegetable and play Zelda like my eyes are, until my eyes bleed. Like, it's going to be so great. I just want to play with my brand new Nintendo console, play Zelda. I'm picking up Snipper Clips and Fast RMX and probably Bomberman eventually as well. My buddy's getting 1-2 Switch and Bomberman also, so we're going to go over someday this weekend and all kind of just drink and play ridiculous Switch games and just have a Switch party. It's going to be great. So, that's it, man. I'll touch base with you guys, of course, a few more times between now and this coming Thursday, March 2nd, when we'll all be waiting in lines to pick up our Switches. But this was just to celebrate the fact that we are within that 1 week time of a brand new Nintendo console. And Zelda Breath of the MF'n freaking Wild, which is just crazy to me. So I'm going to stop geeking out to you guys, and I'll just say thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in. The Switch, it's upon us in Zelda, man. How excited are you guys? Tell me what you feel. Tell me if you're picking up your Switch this weekend. Tell me if you have time off to do so. Are you going to be really busy? How much Zelda and Switch time are you going to get this first weekend once it releases on March 3rd, this coming Friday? Talk about your excitement for the Switch and Zelda below, guys. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in. It always means so much when you guys watch the videos and comment and say all these positive, great things for Rule of 2 Review. So, yeah, this is Rob of Rule of 2 Review, and I will catch you guys next time on another video.